Data drives your business, and every business. Whether you're using it to build your executive strategy or crunching the numbers to mitigate risk and ensure compliance, you need to do more with your data and get more from your data. Our solutions give you better access to more information, access to data that's big and diverse, internal and external, structured and unstructured, static and streaming. This allows you to maximize its value by making it all usable and repeatable. Your analysts and executives need analytics they can trust. And with a secure, unified data marketplace, you can ensure data integrity, data lineage, and better control, so everyone can work together with creativity and confidence to generate greater insight, accountability, and results for you and your organization. That's data intelligence.
Hey, welcome everyone again, and thank you very much, everyone, for staying back. I can see that the number of attendees are steady, not dropping off, even increasing. I can see. Okay, so while others are still logging in, so we'll just wait for a few seconds, and so just to remind you that this will be the final, the last, but I would say like the most engaging session of the event. Yeah, so we are waiting for our panel speakers to slowly start logging in. Yeah, so you're gonna see your favorite speakers again. Aroshan is already in, so we're gonna have Ramanathan. Okay, Harrison is in, and Harry here. Hey, hi everyone, welcome. Good to see you guys again. Everyone is here. Good. So yes. So now let's kick off the session. Welcome to everyone, the panel speakers and attendees. Yeah. So we're gonna have a couple of big questions for the panel discussion, and obviously then it's gonna be followed up with many questions by attendees. Dear attendees, this is your chance to ask all the questions that you want. Yeah, so we're gonna make it a bit of a free flow. We're not gonna restrict everyone to say we just stick to certain topics. So please feel free to ask any question, any relevant question, I would say, on the Q&A tab. So when the speakers choose to publish a question, then they will be discussing the question. But just to kick start everything. So our first question for the panel discussion, just to kick start it, would be the use of data analytics in audit is one of today's big talking points that most, if today's speakers share their insights, right? So looking ahead in a time of rapid change, what will be the auditing standards, right? Referring to the auditing standards board, forward-looking with more of a data analytics automation tool in place. So we're going to be discussing on use of data analytics and future of auditing standards, referring to auditing standard board. So I would say perhaps Harry, you should kick this off. Harry?
Yeah. I can start. Data analytics currently is, whether it is required from a compliance point of view, like the standards required to do, or from a practical point of view, want to deliver efficient audit, data analytics is part and parcel of our day-to-day auditing right now. So we are currently pretty much for all our large audits within BDO, we use data analytics as a mandatory component. And this is only going to increase and not decrease. Data analytical requirement is here to stay, and the auditing standards, they are laggers to a certain extent. The standards typically come out at different frequency to what the market demands. So what we see is whether it is ISAS is in the international standards for auditing, or any of the country-specific gaps, the generally accepted accounting principles, they're all moving more closer to having comprehensive data analytics as part of audit. And when I talk about data analytics, even though data analytics was more focused on historical data from an audit perspective, we typically come in after the year end and do year end audit for the previous 12 months. Now, increasingly, the market trend is to move towards predictive analytics because clients want to know, the boards and audit committees want us to comment on the future, the forecast. So that means we need to do predictive analytics for us to be able to comment on their next 12 months cash flow projections, or whether the company will have sufficient funds to service their debts and so on. So this is the trend that the audit profession is currently going through.
And to definitely caveat off of what Harry just mentioned there, the more complexity you introduce into any system means there needs to be additional verification and additional compliance kind of brought into that system as well. So there needs to be a way for you to curate, to govern, to trace that lineage of how you're coming to those decisions, how you're applying those predictive and prescriptive analytics onto your data sets. So having something that is cleanly and clearly defined as to how you came to these results is just as important as the results themselves. One of the things I continually talked about is the trust in that data and the trust in the results, and having the clear way that you got to your outcomes is just as important as the outcomes themselves. Really having that layer of trust and verification into those decisions that you're making allows you to go confidently with introducing maybe those complexities into your systems and not worrying about getting too far away from some of the core competencies that you might be more familiar with.
Yeah, I agree, because I think it's a good point, Arisa, when you talk about the confidence in data and the results is very important, because a lot of people just nowadays, they even especially in audits, they just want to use the data analytic. Some of them don't really understand or confident about the data and about the way they're doing it. The understanding of the process and the results is very important. Like I highlighted in my presentation just now, is some places it just become like a hype, people just using it, but it's very important for really use the data analytic. Addressing about the standards, I think perhaps the regulator will start already looking into this uses of data analytics, or to enhance the current standard to allow a lot of audit to start adapting data analytic as one of the way moving forward.
Ramanathan, the ISA 240, this is the international standard for auditing 240, has already been adopted by MIA, and it is a requirement now, even as of now, it is a requirement now for auditors to use ISA 240 in relation to fraud in any audit of a financial statement. So the standard, the international standard, which has been around for a long period, has already been adopted by MIA for Malaysian context. So yeah, the standards are already there to force auditors to do full data analytical reviews and not place reliance on the sample testing that we used to do 10, 20, whatever number of years ago. So the trend now is not to rely on sample testing and go for 100%. And also in data analytics, enable auditors to meet two core objectives. We got number of objectives in any audit. We got the completeness, and we have completeness, accuracy, validity, right? Completeness by getting data extracted directly from databases, we can very easily meet that requirement, that objective. The objective of completeness we can only achieve if we are doing data analytical work as opposed to substantive audit procedure. And the other accuracy is nowadays the tools are available. Even Altair specialize in reconciliation. If you got bespoke many different databases storing a lot of values in different databases, you can extract all the data, make this reconciliation seamless, and doing that reconciliation, you are able to meet the accuracy part of the audit objective. So completeness, you couldn't do it without completeness objective, you couldn't do it without data analytics, and to a great extent, accuracy we can confirm through data analytical work. So it's very important for auditors.
Yeah, correct. Agree.
Yeah, I think moving on for what Hari and Ram has mentioned, I think the next key skill what we should inculcate in the auditors is the skill of devising the own story and the ability to tell or interpret the story. So, for an example, you might have the most advanced AI or ML scripts available. You can go to the web, you can go to these databases and pick it. But then the auditor should be smart enough to make it relevant to their business. He should be able to devise the devise and interpret the specific story what the data is telling. I think that is one of the key challenges I felt when I introduced the AI and ML technologies into the business. So that is a soft skill we should focus on rapidly because this skill comes from practice. This skill comes from continuous reading. This skill comes from the material what you use, your experience in the business, the past events. All this will give the skill to the auditor to exactly find what his story is and then try to track that story in the vast chunk of big data. I think that is a soft skill we should, as HIAs, should rapidly focus on in the next couple of years, so that whatever details which are being spun out by the analytic tools are very validly interpreted and being used to the business. Yep.
And I think that overall trend just goes to making it a purposeful and methodical process from moving to current operations into something that's incorporating data analytics. It can't be something that is either just decided to in an impromptu way, but it has to be a very methodical process to make sure you are as Harry was talking about, having the completeness of the data available so that the decisions that are the result of that insight are actually reflecting the current data and not just a smaller subset of it.
Yeah, agree.
There are a few questions.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. There is a question for me specifically mentioned. So this is by Hui Tran. I'm sorry if my pronunciation is wrong. Yes, I will read the question. Hi, Aroshan and all. Could you share your experience on deploying machine learning models in internal audit and continuous monitoring? So yes, let me share my experience first. When we when we embarked on machine learning, I think we should understand the basic first. It is how you teach the machine to identify certain trends or characteristics of a certain specific, let's say a transaction, let's say a fraud-related transaction, to pick it out from the system, learn what are the unique characteristics of that unusual transaction, and then apply it into the master database so that prior to so that if in the future an unusual transaction occurs, before the conclusion of the specific transaction, the system should be able to point out and tell you exactly that, look, these set of transactions have a suspicious have suspicious characteristics. So for that, the starting path would be for you to look at the past trends, the past scenarios of similar instances. Now, if I take the fraud example, you can very detailed first take out the steps which have been conducted in that fraud, the characteristics of the people, the timing, the system approval trends. All these things you will have to first teach to the machine, and then initially you might have to do a bit of unsupervised learning, and then subsequently look at supervised learning, and then embark on the machine learning process. My advice to you is always start things simple. Don't look at very advanced scripts. Don't look at buying scripts from the web or looking at best practices first, but be relevant to your own business. First, very clearly identify what are the previous instances which have created issues for you or which you want to track. Very clearly identify the set of sequence, very clearly study the characteristics of the transactions, and then start feeding it to your machine, and start very small. Don't try to embark on multiple scripts at once. Use a few, one or two scripts, continuously train the machine, initially perhaps unsupervised, and see how the machine fares, so that you can calibrate the skill. Then look at supervised learning, and finally let the machine do the job by itself. But then the critical part is, don't only rely on the machine. You as an auditor, you should be able to, as I told you, devise your own story, and your eye should be able to capture things. And based on your eye, you have to train the machine, so that subsequently the machine will do that. So what you need to understand is, don't solely rely on ML, but use ML as a tool. Don't rely on ML, but use ML only as a tool to help your business. But you have to be the eyes and ears in this business.
Okay. Just want to add for the question posted by our organizer. What will be implication coming 3 to 5 years due to embedding analytics into audits and accountings? What my view in coming 3 years, the role of auditor will change, because commonly when we talk about auditing, an auditor is always come is after event done. We come at the end to tell that this is wrong, whatever. But by embedding data analytics, and also as well as doing a digital audit, like one of the things like predictive, right? One of the things we can come up as a consultant. Our role will change from consultant, and from auditor, typical auditor, to be a consultant to a organization. This is very things that I think we should move on, and it will be happen. Then auditors, because as an auditor we have more view compared, we can link multiple function within a department compared to first line and second line. That's at we can enhance our contribution to that organization, like be a more consultant, doing the things correctly before it happened. Like for one of the questions just now about fraud, yes, we can actually detect the fraud to a certain extent before it happened, right? Then by looking on the loopholes and all that, by doing a continuous monitoring, continuous auditing, from there our role will be changed. Not only looking at the third line defense, but we become a consultant or advisor to the business.
Yeah, and I think especially with this question, some of the trends that we're seeing in really a lot of different organizations, not just audit and accounting, is the expansion of what a specified skill base, the expectations of what they are able to do, and what the tools now facilitate them to be able to do. So even in the past, having the ability to prepare, to cleanse, to access data was a restricted task. Having a very small subset of people that had the ability to access, pull, leverage the data that was available to them. We now see that the kind of with the advent of self-service data preparation, that's opened that up to a number of different people that wouldn't have had to encounter these types of challenges from before. So now when we see the easy or the easier access to different types of analytics, both predictive and prescriptive, through a number of different tools, specifically with Altair as well, we also see that opening up to a wider variety of different users and different skill levels that are now having access to a level of interaction with the data that people wouldn't have had in the past. So we can continue to expect that to change and evolve in the next 3 to 5 years, and allowing a greater number of people to have access to something that was once kind of confined to a very small or very specific subset of that group. Now, with that comes a number of different changes. As you open up these tools to a wider audience, you inherently increase risk as to, are they using it correctly? Are they having it are they getting valid results coming from it? And are we doing it as efficiently as possible? So always meeting that balance between acting efficiently, giving a wider access of these tools and these skill sets to a wider group of people, while still maintaining the ability to govern and to curate the results that are coming out, are just as important too.
Yes, I would also like to give my 2 cents to the question posted by Dele Sushi Utami. I'm sorry if my pronunciation is wrong. I'm really sorry about it. So the question is, hi all, thanks for sharing an insightful material. In your point of view, what is the key challenge that needs to be managed when deploying a connected digital audit in order to enhance the quality while driving value in this matter? A very valid question, Dela, if I may say. In my view, from a company end, I think the key challenge which I had to face is the ever evolving skill set of the internal auditors, because the traditional approach what we had was, you had internal auditors working for the past 5 to 10 years in the organization. Their skill set is not matched with the requirements of the business. Their skill sets, their knowledge levels are not exactly in line with the bandwidth of the business. That was a traditional problem which I saw. So I think the key challenge is to continuously upgrade the knowledge of your auditors, so that so that they have the capability, especially on the predictive sense, to understand the business and actually advise the business on how best they should go forward in these scenarios. Because internal auditors has a gift where I always tell my subordinates, you go into a function, you study the function for let's say 3 to 4 days, and you tell your auditee how to do his business, which he has been doing for the past 5 to 10 years. Yeah, that's a unique skill. So that you have a set of people who can learn very fast and interpret and then subsequently advise. But the problem is, especially for the nature of the company which I work, which is a telco, the technology becomes obsolete overnight. So I need to continuously train my employees with the business, with the latest industry trends which is coming into play. I need to be always one step ahead of the business. So as an HIA, I think the majority of the responsibility falls onto your shoulders to study the latest trends in the business, to ensure that your employees are trained, to be connected with the business, to continuously work with the business, to acquire all the skills what the business is having, and applying it to your auditors, and internally to train your auditors to be one step ahead of the business. So I think in this couple of years, this will be the major challenge for all the HIAs as well as auditors. Auditors will have to upskill themselves. There's a lot of self-learning to be done, a lot of material available on the web. They'll have to upskill themselves. They'll read a lot. They'll have to analyze a lot. But this is the key skill. We can provide technology. We can provide funding. But then it is the auditor who should upskill himself and find his story and interpret the story so that the business values it very much.
And I think that actually really ties in nicely to one of the other questions that was asked in the Q&A there about how auditors should learn to be data scientists to enable data analytics audit, because that's kind of where the technology can help supplement what you already bring to the table as far as your own industry knowledge, the different trends that you're actually looking for, the certain anomalies that come from working in the industry for so long, having the ability to kind of bridge the gap between what the data scientist, what the data science or the predictive prescriptive models can bring to the table, as well as what you can contribute with your own industry knowledge, that intersection of the two is where you're going to find the most benefit for the data analytics as an organization. So having these tools, knowing how to leverage them, and really giving them a wider variety of access to people with the industry knowledge, I find is going to be hugely beneficial for people getting the best insights out of it without just putting it in the hands of an IT group or someone who's strictly a data scientist without the industry background. There's a lot of implications with the data that they might not understand as well as someone with that industry experience.
I agree with Harrison. Jamie has asked this question whether auditors should learn to become a data scientist. Well, the term auditor, I don't know whether you're referring to internal audit or external audit. I can give you from external audit point of view, who had been in external audit for 30 odd years. External audit, what we do is we engage, for example, in BDO, Malaysia, we have 1,200 auditors. And out of 1,200 auditors, there are auditors who are specializing in data analytical work. So it's a specialized team. We don't expect every auditor to learn every skill possible. It's not realistic. So we have a specialized data analytical team, and their job is to support the financial audit team with the data analytical work. And we got some dozen people, and even within that dozen, there are some specializing in Power BI and some other tool or whatever, but it's more what tool is suitable for that particular client's data analytical work. It's not one tool that fits. There are clients where they're only using Sage or whatever. We use Idea, and they're happy. We can complete the task relatively quickly. And there are others where you need a lot more sophisticated tool than Idea to be able to do the analytical work. And also on the main screen, there is a topic on my favorite topic on digitalization and automation, talking about various technologies like robotics, machine learning, artificial intelligence. This is the area where I would say 8 out of 10 clients, when I talk about 10 clients, I'm talking about the largest group of, say, we got 3,000 clients, the top 200 clients. If I'm interacting with the C-level, this is a hot topic. They're all at various stages of either implementing robotic process automation or machine learning, artificial intelligence, or advanced analytics, including predictive analytics, big data, you name it. They want to embark on. I've got a plantation client currently embarking on drone technology. So the technology adoption is at a rapid rate, and it is not by choice. If they don't, they'll be out of business. And therefore, it is here to stay, and the take-up is at a rapid rate. And for auditors, we don't need to become a specialist in machine learning or artificial intelligence or any one technology. You need to be able to understand the risks and how that risk is being mitigated, what controls are in place, and not only from a technology point of view, but also from a governance, change management, compliance point of view, you need to make sure these technology rollouts or the transformation, digital transformation, is adequately managed and appropriate controls are in place. So auditors' primary focus is more security controls, governance, compliance. This is the area we focus on. And what I found in my personal experiences, the technology team who are rolling out these emerging technologies, their focus is delivering a technology solution. The business is focusing on business benefit that they can derive out of these technologies. Auditors are the only ones contributing to areas such as governance, compliance, risk management, security controls. These are typically handled by auditors, and the successful projects I've been involved in, they've embedded internal audit as part of the project team, not audit coming at the end of the project and criticizing you didn't do this, that, and the other. It's more embedding internal audit right from the blueprint or early stages of the project, and get input on adequate controls, preventative controls, and security. So this is fantastic, and it's happening, and there are more. There are more projects going to come out in digital transformation with newer technology. The technologies that we currently talk about is nothing. There are more technologies coming out.
Yeah, I actually agree. Mr. I concur with you, but just to share my internal audit experience in my organization, because as a financial industry, we do a lot of technology enhancement. A lot of projects is going on. Then we as an auditor, we involve at the beginning of the project itself as part of an independent observer, and giving our view while maintaining our independence. We don't make decisions, but we're giving our view that this should be done in a way, especially enhancing the controls. And what is interesting part that I noticed that is not only commonly IT auditors to be in, is also involve functional auditors as well, whereby it's a combination of both, because in the internal audit we have the IT audit, and as well as we look on the process side, because it's very important to get it right at the first place, before actually after the system has been done and implemented, an auditor come in and give an opinion. That is very, very important, and I think it's done pretty much well for all the projects that we conducted in my organization. And also, just a quick one to question of Jamia. I mean, a very quick thought of me, that no need auditor to be a data scientist to learn, because data analytic, for my opinion, is not only about coding. You no need to learn about coding, but the understanding of the data must be developed within that line auditors. Whenever we, even an external auditor, I've been an external auditor before, when we pass certain things to our specialized team, but we must able to know the process of obtaining the data and how to interpret the results. That is very important. You no need to run your own scripting and all that. That's, I think, is too much to learn for line auditor. If you can, it's good, but I think it's quite impossible. But in a way that you need to learn the process of end-to-end of data analytics, especially how we obtain it, the data until the results. That's very important.
Yeah, and definitely any implementation of any new processes or adding the complexity has to be done with a purpose. Just throwing something that's AI or ML into a process without having an end state, without having a goal of how it's, what's particular it's solving within your organization, is really only adding more complexities that aren't giving you beneficial results. So having an end state or having a goal that you're working towards and implementing the tools as a way to fulfill those functions is definitely going to be more beneficial than just trying to keep up with the trends and trying to integrate with something that you might not either fully understand or understand how it can fit within your organization. The AI, the ML, the predictive prescriptive models, anything that you're integrating has to be catered towards your specific business challenges, those specific problems that you're having. And to answer a particular question that those models are going to be essentially aiding your answering of. They're not going to be magic. They need to have some kind of purpose and someone to interpret some of those results to identify when do trends change, when do we need to adjust the models that are feeding into this process, and adjusting for new variables that get introduced to our business as a whole. I think we can all agree that the trend is things are always moving quicker than we could probably keep up with. So having something that we implement that's static is only going to become obsolete in a couple of weeks or even months.
Yes, fully agreed, Harrison. Very timely and relevant thing. I think the key two words what we should keep in our mind is for internal audit to always remain relevant. I think that is the two key words which internal audit should always have, because if you just unload yourself with AI and ML tools, but you don't know what exactly you're telling to the business, that's not going to add any value to you. You need to work with the business. You need to exactly identify what is the need of the business, and then for that you need to cater your tools. There will be needs on many ends, such as governance, such as efficiency improvement, etc., etc. Because the role of an internal auditor is much more dynamic and much more, I would say, supervised upon on a daily basis, rather than the job of external audit, because you have to continuously work with the business, and your observations are sought upon by the management, by the board. So I would briefly touch upon the question by Johanna, which Harrison also touched, as well as Ram. Yes, it is. It is in fact, Johanna, the biggest.
Hello. I think he some line issue. Yeah, just to yeah, he able to come.
Okay, so we're having really good conversation here. I think, did we lose Aroshan?
Yeah, I think we lose him.
He's back. He's back. He's back.
I think he's muted though.
Okay. Aroshan, you were making a point just now, or you were done with the point?
Sorry, there was a technical glitch. My apologies again. So, as I was mentioning, I think the key gift what you have is your experience, your knowledge in the past, your insights, the tacit knowledge. That's the best knowledge. That's the best gift an internal auditor could have. So, the scripting, AI-related machine learning, supervised learning, unsupervised learning, those things you have specialized people, and that's a skill you can acquire. But this tacit knowledge, what we have gathered, what we have gained in the past X number of years, is like, it'll be worth in gold. I'm sure I'll tell you in the next couple of years. This tacit knowledge will continue, will convert itself for the future stories, what you need to feed into the AI and ML systems. Because as I always tell, machines are machines. They can't think on their own. So you have to do the thinking for themselves. So please don't be, depressed that, say, I'm a traditional auditor, I don't have the ML and programming skills. Nothing like that. You have the best gift available for you. So it's only a matter of converting and feeding the machines of the golden knowledge what you have. Yeah.
There is a question from Primariska on ethics culture that may lead to fraud acts. The short answer is yes, this is currently being done. We've got clients where they want people culture audit done. This is more broader than purely looking at financial numbers. And these audits do discover the behavior pattern of people to give you some relevant acts. Now you've got the anti-money laundering requirements, KYC requirements, and these requirements are more focusing on early on detect the behavioral pattern. And I know you're not in financial services sector. If you're in financial services sector, it's very well controlled, and there are more regulations coming out, specifically in relation to technology. There is a piece of work in Malaysia, BNM. BNM is the Bank Negara Malaysia, which is the central bank of Malaysia. They've issued RMIT, risk management in technology, that need to be complied for all financial services operators, whether insurance companies or banks. And this is primarily focusing on the sort of topics that you're talking about. But I'm not sure, you're in Indonesia, whether Osaka has similar RMIT type requirement in Indonesia, and also you're in infrastructure industry. I'm not sure whether regulation is driving this, but outside of financial services sector, we see corporates themselves take a lead and not wait for regulators to impose these requirements and doing people culture audits to uncover any unethical behaviors or actions, including potential risk of fraud. Remember, there is already an auditing standard requiring auditors uh, to provide a statement, specific statement on the issue of fraud. So we do need to comment on fraud, but fraud audit, as you know, is a completely separate piece of work. But what we normally comment is in our audit procedures, we didn't come across any fraud related matters. That doesn't mean there is no fraud occurring within the organization, but the auditing standards already require us to comment on the risk of fraud. So whatever we do, whatever review we do, we ought to bear in mind the risk of fraud and therefore be able to comment on the risk of fraud requirements from auditing standards.
I would like to drop on the question by Prima Riska Riantani. So she is asking, can we do the digital audit to review control environment that may lead to, that is ethics culture that may lead to fraud attacks in our company? Now, by the use of the term digital audit, what we need to understand is that if you are referring to IA and ML based auditing, the answer would be no, because here it's more or less a qualitative action what you need to do initially. If once you do the initial control design evaluation of the specific division that is to do with ethics, control, culture, then you can embark upon the path to go ahead with the digital audit, which is assisted by analytics, AI, and ML, because you need to feed the system some kind of a trend or a set of characteristics of which what you are looking at exactly. So for this, you can have your internal material, and of course, there might be plenty of external material available, but you will have to customize it and tailor it to the specific context of your business. So what I want to mention is that digital audit is not the fit for all shoe in this business. You as the auditor, you need to first study your specific function. If possible, to do a bit of a benchmarking with another function available, a similar function in the same country or perhaps another country. Best practices are widely available in the web. Please use the web very freely, because it's your friend. There is a lot of material out there. Then first do an evaluation of the design of the specific function or the division. And then based on that, by using your desk research and active research outside on the web, you can use AI and ML based scripts to evaluate your internal control environment. So as I mentioned earlier, it is always your knowledge, your experience, your tacit knowledge is the piece of gold here. It's don't always rely on the system itself. You as the internal auditor is the most critical treasure here. Use your tacit knowledge, then guide the machines to do the job for you. Yeah.
Okay, this is another question by Alvi. If I have time, quick one. All panel, what is your opinion about the lack of top awareness related to current conditions, especially technology disruption? Do you have an idea? Do you, from my point of view, the end of the day, all international must be in line with business management? Yes, I not is I think the top management start aware about this technologies and all that. Even I was sit in a lot of committees and all that. The directors are start looking into this data technologies and all that. But my point of view that I think we always must work together with the business and our management while maintaining our independence. That's very important, because ultimately our audit purpose is, our audit objective is to make sure the business objective been achieved as per the internal governance and all that. That's why it's very important. Involve them, the important is just maintain your independence. Don't be like in certain place we see an auditor and management, they feel like two different side of things, but it's not. We must work together with this, make them understand the importance of the technology, the purpose of we are doing it. It's just now a lot of organization, I think Mr. Hari should know, their management are adopting our tools, internal audit tools, for their daily monitoring. So they file useful for them. I got auditee that come and approach me, say, why not we use this data analytic method that you use for our daily monitoring, because that will give us early detection before you comes in. So that's how where that we should move on, moving forward, work with management, because we are working in one organization and to achieve something.
It's very valid point, Ram. And also, I think Mohammad Alvi's point in the first area, in that on the first half of the question is, what's your opinion about the lack of top management awareness relating to the current condition? Well, any top management has to learn, but for them to learn, you will have to lead by example. So I think the responsibility lies with on your hands. Even we had the same example, but top management was very willing to learn, and we had to provide the example. So initial couple of sessions are a bit painful, the strategy sessions, but then subsequently they fall in line and they support, because what you need to do is you need to show the justification. If you
Yes.
show the justification, if you show the numbers on the table, if you show the money on the table, they will definitely fall in line. Yeah, so that's the critical skill what you have. So don't be bit depressed that the top management is not supporting. That is because they haven't seen the proper justification. So doing the justification is your job. So what we can do is, with the technology we can support and provide. So you have to do your justification to the top management.
Is to prove it.
Yeah, and I think this is a really important point, because of course no one is going to work in a vacuum in terms of the decisions that are made within an organization, or which tools get implemented, or which policies get changed or developed or adapted as roles and more complexities want to be integrated inside of this business. So we always need to keep in mind both who's making the decision and ultimately which different types of gatekeepers does this need to get past. So it's not enough to simply give maybe results and give them the ability to see what the capabilities can do. There needs to be a level of trust that's garnered with people from different skill sets, from different understandings from the business side of things to the modeling or the predictive side of things. So there's a lot of people that need to get buy-in from any type of complexities that are being integrated into any one of these processes. So having something that is easily explainable, having something that's easy to go in and to really show your work of how you came to a certain result. You never want to just throw a wall of code towards someone in a managerial position and say, well, here's how I got to that result. Having something that's a little bit easier to explain and show them, here's the process that's going behind it. Maybe you don't understand all of this, but to gain enough of that trust to understand that A, the results are valid, but also B, I understood the question that was being asked, or I understood the purpose of why we were doing this, is also important. So in my opinion, it's not enough to simply come up with actionable results. They need to be justified, and they need to be easy to understand, and to really show any number of different people at various degrees and buy-in how you came to those results in order to gain that trust within the organization.
Yeah, another thing, sir, we saw here the polls been open, few polls. I think the two question relate to challenges, what they face in current process, and also the pain point in audit function. Both, I think here the highest score is came from data. Difficult to collect data or assessing the data. I think I totally agree. For my view also, I think it's a bit very difficult to assess data, because the two things that I always face to collect data is understanding of the data, because sometimes the system owner or the process data owner not even really understand the entire data set. That actually have a difficult for auditors to understand. That's why always but it is a first one time effort to be done, and to understand the data take some time, to go and talk to a lot of business processes, business owners, to get the data and document down within your internal audit department, to have other teams to use. Another one talking about this data is the confidentiality of the data, because the reluctant of the process owner to give you the data as an auditor, to the auditor, because they feel like, why you need the data, why you're taking my data out and all that, where you want to use it. But that is important for you all to re-emphasize back your role of an auditor, to tell them the purpose of your test and make them convinced actually this is actually helpful for them as well and all that. That is a very two key challenges that I face when we want to request a data or to extract the data in an audit, especially with a big organization with the multiple systems and multiple data owners and system owners.
Also, I'll quickly draw upon Jamia's comment that technology evolves in a split second, but being an auditor, we need to understand the risk. Yes, we fully agree with your point. It is quite the challenge, but then having said that, to remain relevant in the current context without being extinct, I think that's the quality you should inculcate in yourself and take on the challenge, because otherwise within the next few years, if we do the traditional audit, we will again become a dinosaur, and the business will ask the question, why not have external audit with us, why do you want an internal audit? So this is the amount of value addition what we need to do. We need to play this game and remain relevant always, Jamia. Yes. Also, on the question from Syed, in my opinion, consultant and auditor are important to narrow the gap or the bridge in addressing key components. Yes, Syed, it is something very important. Rather than narrowing the bridge, I think what should happen is both of them should work in line. Both of them should complement each other, so that both their skill sets, which are unique, will complement each other and give the company and the internal audit division the best result. So that is what we should look at. But long term, I think we should look at upskilling to a certain extent. But the marriage of the skills, marriage of the attitudes will be the most critical part for us to have a more productive internal audit division in the future.
Yeah, but Messiah. I mean, one of the things that I totally agree with Roshan, that working closely with consultants is important, because as an internal auditor, perhaps consultant will complement your knowledge and the industry practice. Because for us, sometimes internal audit, we look on one organization. Consultant, they have been done with multiple organizations. They can share their views and their experience with us, which is that can enhance entire process of internal auditing. So we must work closely with them. And we do some of the joint project with them for auditing as part of our learning process, transfer knowledge from industry to us. That's very important.
Gentlemen, I'm really sorry. I have a 12:30 meeting to go to. So apologies. I'm going to drop off. And very nice meeting you all. And good luck.
Yeah. Thanks, Mr.
Thanks.
Yes.
Bye.
Thanks, Harry.
Thanks,
Thank
Harry.
you.
Also, I'll drop on the question by QSO Hinog. He's asking, is auditor supposed to give advice to propose solutions? Yes, in my presentation, I briefly touched upon that point of advisory. But then internal auditor is not supposed to give the solution. The business should give the solution, and internal auditor should provide his advice on how appropriate or do a critical analysis of the proposed solution. So the value addition part will be in this advisory part, but by no standard, by no requirement, the internal auditor is supposed to propose a solution, because then you're breaching the 3 lines of defense and you're moving into the first line of defense, which is not expected by you at all. Whether you're reaching the second level of defense, yes, it remains a question in the future. The LODs between the second and the third line of defense are slowly becoming blurred, but definitely not to the first line of defense.
All right, we have a lot of questions still coming in, and would be more than happy if the panel still has a bit more time, because the number of attendees are steady. they're still engaging. So, but I would say let's give the panel a break, right? So they've been here since morning, and they've been asking a lot of questions. And Harrison, I think, is it midnight there, Harrison?
It's midnight 30.
So you should be long in bed, but we're really thankful. You guys been great. Both the speakers, the panel, and the attendees especially, they've been great. They've been really engaging. But I would say let's thank all the panel speakers for now. All the attendees. Yeah, you can wish to send your love through the Q&A session, saying thank you very much. I love the session, and I'm sure they'll be really happy to hear that. And for all the attendees, now you will be redirected to Altair's booth, because they have some content to be shared. So if you have any questions, you can get it from there. And then there are a lot of very good polls being conducted. So you might want to take this chance to go back and fill up the polls, and I'm sure the Altair team will be happy to share the results with you as well after the event. So you'll have a a better understanding on what others think on certain topics. And thank you very much again, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed all the sessions, and especially the last one. And special thanks to all the panel speakers. And thank you so much. And looking at the questions that are coming in, now I'm asking questions from the attendees. Should we do part 2 now? There's a delay in the questions, so probably the answers will be the answers will be coming in late. So for all the panel guys, please feel free to slowly log out unless you want to stay much longer. So
thank you guys. Have a nice day.
So much, everyone.
Thank you so much. Nice meeting the panel. Thank you. Much love from Sri Lanka.
Data drives your business, and every business. Whether you're using it to build your executive strategy or crunching the numbers to mitigate risk and ensure compliance, you need to do more with your data and get more from your data. Our solutions give you better access to more information, access to data that's big and diverse, internal and external, structured and unstructured, static and streaming. This allows you to maximize its value by making it all usable and repeatable. Your analysts and executives need analytics they can trust. And with a secure, unified data marketplace, you can ensure data integrity, data lineage, and better control, so everyone can work together with creativity and confidence to generate greater insight, accountability, and results for you and your organization. That's data intelligence.